Good morning, everyone. This morning, it is my honor to announce the signing of a declaration which will form the John Lewis Commemorative Task Force. I'm honored and pleased to be here with our co-sponsor of the task force, Mayor Patti Garrett of Decatur. We've received comments from the public about the importance of remembering John Lewis in a way that would be best, that would represent his life and the commitment of our beloved community, as he would say. I had the chance to know John and work with John as a congressional spouse. He was a giant of a man with a humble heart. He met no strangers, and he truly was a man who loved the people, who loved his country, which he represented very well. May we forever remember their legacies and always fight to get in good trouble. So this morning, it is my honor and pleasure to sit alongside Mayor Patti Garrett of the City of Decatur to sign a declaration which will officially form the John Lewis Commemorative Task Force. The members of the task force consist of 22 citizens of DeKalb County. Mereda Davis Johnson, myself, who serves the 5th District of DeKalb County on the commission. Commissioner Jeff Rader, he serves District 2 on the DeKalb County Commission. Presiding officer, Steve Bradshaw, Commissioner of the 4th District. Ms. Patti Garrett, who was the mayor of the City of Decatur. Juanita Powell Barranco, a lawyer and entrepreneur and co-founder of Barranco Automotive Group. Burl Alice, the former Chief Executive Officer of DeKalb County and former Political Director of ACLC. George Dunsonberry is serving his first year on the Decatur City Commission. Heather Fenton, my friend, who is a community advocate and arts patron. She is also the proud mother of Jonathan Ossoff. Brian Worthon, who is a lawyer in Dunwoody, graduating from Emory University School of Law. Audrey Maloof, a longtime resident of DeKalb County and also a relative of our first CEO, Manuel Maloof. Theresa Hardy, who is the president of the DeKalb County NAACP. Eric Alice is a resident of DeKalb County and owner of Made You Look Media. I will turn it over to my friend, the mayor of the City of Decatur, Ms. Patti Garrett.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis Johnson. I will continue adding the names to the task force. Jonathan Elmore, who serves as mayor of the City of Avondale Estates. He's also previously served as the Georgia Municipal Association District 3 president and was on the board of directors for the Georgia Municipal Association. And he's an architect in private practice in Avondale Estates. Wally Davis is the founding partner of the Davis Bozeman Law Firm, where he leads the firm's Civil Rights Division. He also attended the U.S. Naval Academy and has served in the United States Navy as an officer while earning a master's in public administration. The Reverend Dr. L. Emery Berry Jr. is the current pastor of Green Forest Community Baptist Church. He served on the board of directors for the Richmond Christian Leadership Institute and the advisory board for the Churchill Academy for At-Risk High School Students. Gail Waldorf is a former DeKalb County Commissioner. During her time on the commission, she served as presiding officer and chairman of the Budget Committee. And she's very active now in her community of Druid Hills and helped organize Caution, a coalition of 8 neighborhoods that formed to fight the Presidential Parkway. And she's involved in preserving neighborhoods and the historic Olmsted Parks. Jan Selman has served on Barack Obama's National Arts Policy Committee and owns a consulting business. She's a founding member of New Power PAC, a nonpartisan political action committee whose mission is to empower and endorse and elect qualified women to office in the state of Georgia. Dr. Thomas L. Coleman is a retired senior executive in government service. He served as chief of staff to CEO Burrell Ellis and served for 18 years as the deputy commissioner of the State Department of Juvenile Justice. Ed Lee III is the senior director of Emory's Alban W. Barkley Forum for Debate, Deliberation, and Dialogue. His work explores the interplay between communication, culture, and diversity in creating more innovative and responsive policies and practices. Karima A. Jones is a merchant planner for a supplier for the Home Depot. She's worked for Home Depot for 7.5 years as a resolutions case manager. She earned her Bachelor's of Science degree in criminal justice from Tennessee State University. Melissa Carlson Forgy is the executive director for the DeKalb History Center and has almost 30 years of experience in the field of public history. She recently served on a DeKalb County Commission of Historians to provide accurate historical context for the Confederate memorial that was recently removed. Dr. Sharon Hill is a clinical associate professor in the Andrew Young School of Public Policy Studies at Georgia State University. And she is the academic director for the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders Initiative. William A. Cook is a retired employee of the United States Postal Service and has worked as the executive director of the American Postal Service Union. And he's been involved in civic and political action activities his entire adult life with a focus on ensuring diversity and inclusion. Mrs. Sherry A. King is the operations vice president and purpose ambassador at a major financial institution and broker-dealer. She's also served as the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Stone Mountain Lithonia chapter. Angie Macon is the executive director of the Decatur Arts Alliance. She's a 25-year resident of the city of Decatur, and during her tenure at the Decatur Arts Alliance, she has worked with MARTA, Artbound, the Atlanta Regional Commission, Living Walls, and the city of Decatur to install permanent and temporary sculptures and murals in the city of Decatur. What an honor it is to join you this morning in signing this declaration. I think we are all privileged to serve on this commission to honor a man whose legacy inspires us all. When we first moved to Decatur, I was privileged to find out that John Lewis would be our congressional representative. And I think at a time when we are sometimes burdened by grief and burdened by a pandemic, it is only fitting that we form this task force to give us a sense of hope, expected hope for the future, and it is my honor to serve with you in co-sponsoring this declaration. So thank you, Commissioner Davis Johnson.
And thank you again, Mayor Patti, Garrett. And I will say that John spent, as I called him John, he was so humble and he was so kind. And he spent his life just fighting for human rights. That every person, man, woman, should be treated with dignity and have the right to vote. I would like to thank Patti that these young people that demonstrated looked back in history and said, if John could do this as a young man, then we can change history as young men and women. So my heart is, excuse me, my heart is full this morning because I know that John would always stand forever as a hero in DeKalb County. And so, Patti, at this point, I would like for us to read the declaration together so that the public can understand what the creation of this task force is for and what it means. So if you could read the beginning, I will read the end, and then we will both sign in harmony, black and white, as John, Martin Luther King, C.T. Vivian, and of course, Reverend Laurie vote.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a declaration by Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson, DeKalb County Board of Commissioners, District 5, and Mayor Patti Garrett, DeKalb City Commission, to establish the John Lewis Commemorative Task Force and for other purposes. Whereas, inspired by the activism of the Montgomery bus boycotts and radio broadcast of Dr. Martin Luther King, John Lewis felt a moral obligation to stand up against injustice, doing so from a young age at Fisk University. And whereas Mr. Lewis participated with other civil rights leaders in the Nashville student movement, helped organize sit-ins at segregated lunch counters, and was one of the original freedom riders who challenged segregation on interstate buses. And whereas in 1963, as chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Mr. Lewis was fundamental in the organization of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. And at just 23 years old, he was the youngest keynote speaker. And whereas, to bring attention to the struggles of African Americans attempting to vote in the South, Mr. Lewis led a march with Hosea Williams from Selma to Montgomery on March the 7th, 1965, where he and other marchers were met with violent attacks at the base of the Edmund Pettus Bridge from state troopers. Whereas the incident which left Mr. Lewis with a fractured skull was captured on film by the media and broadcast across the world, it later became known as Bloody Sunday and was responsible for accelerating the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Whereas Mr. Lewis believed that the vote was the most powerful non-violent agent for change in a democracy, and under his leadership as director of the Voter Education Project from 1970 to 1977, the organization added approximately 4 million minority voters to the rolls. And whereas Mr. Lewis, who was elected to Congress a total of 17 times, was known as the conscience of Congress and is credited with, among other things, staging a sit-in protest on the floor of Congress to draw attention to his call for gun control legislation and establishing the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. And whereas Mr. Lewis, the last surviving member of the Big Six civil rights icons, passed away in Atlanta, Georgia on July 17, 2020, at the age of 80, following a battle with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And whereas Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett desire to remember Mr. Lewis as an American hero for his pivotal role in the civil rights movement of the 1960s and his lifelong fight for human rights, dignity, and equality for all people as a congressman representing Georgia's 5th congressional district for over 30 years. And
whereas Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett further seek to celebrate Mr. Lewis' remarkable life and the way in which he bridged the gap between earlier generations of the civil rights activists and today's younger activists who are continuing to fight for justice and equality for all people. And whereas Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett believe broad-based citizens' input from community leaders from various segments of society will enable them to identify and recommend to the county the most fitting way to commemorate John Lewis's life with a statute in DeKalb County and desire to create a task force dedicated to said purpose. Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett hereby create the John Lewis Commemorative Task Force as follows. The official name of the task force is the John Lewis Commemorative Task Force. The purpose, to identify the best and most appropriate manner in which to commemorate the late Congressman John Lewis in DeKalb County. Specific roles, duties. The task force should have the following roles and responsibility. Research and develop a recommendation within 6 months or less for commemorating and honoring John Lewis in DeKalb County. 2, identify potential funding sources. 3, identifying potential financial and in-kind contributions to honor the late John Lewis. And 4, provide a detailed description regarding matters such as design and location of a commemorative tribute honoring John Lewis to Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett. Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett should serve as co-sponsors of the task force. And since I left my glasses at home, I'm going to let you start with 4.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 4, membership and appointment. The task force shall be composed of 22 members with 3 ex officio non-voting members and 19 voting members. Appointments shall be made as follows: 12 by Mereda Davis Johnson, including the 3 to non-voting positions, 5 by Mayor Patti Garrett, and 5 by Stephen Bradshaw. Mereda Davis Johnson hereby appoints Jeff Rader, Stephen Bradshaw, and herself to the ex officio non-voting positions. Mayor Patti Garrett hereby appoints herself as a voting member on the task force. Mereda Davis Johnson's remaining 12 appointments include the following persons: Juanita Powell Barranco, Burl Ellis, Heather Fenton, Brian Wertheim, Audrey Maloof, Teresa Hardy, Eric J. Ellis, Mawali Davis, Reverend Dr. Emery Berry, Jan Selman, Dr. Thomas Coleman, and Gail Waldorf. Members of the task force shall serve until the dissolution of the task force. Meetings. The task force shall meet periodically as they deem appropriate. At its first regular meeting, the task force shall, by majority vote of its membership, elect one of its members to serve as chairperson and one member to serve as co-chairperson. The persons so elected shall serve in these capacities until the end of until the dissolution of the task force. 6. Operating rules. The task force shall have autonomy to maximize their creativity in making a recommendation to Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett to fulfill its purpose. For example, the task force may create committees to delegate portions of the work, study various issues, and make reports and recommendations to the full task force. 7. Completion and dedication. Within 6 months or less, the task force shall present a recommendation to Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson and Mayor Patti Garrett whenever it deems the work completed for commemorating and honoring John Lewis in DeKalb County. Upon presentation of that recommendation, the task force work shall be concluded and the task force shall stand dissolved without the necessity of further action. Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson is not bound to present the task force recommendations to the county, but is authorized to forward the recommendation or a modified version of it at her sole discretion for action by the county if appropriate. And so I believe we are now ready for the signings. So would you like to sign and then pass it to me? That would be great. Thank you.
I think that this is a great moment in DeKalb County history to preserve and honor the legacy of Congressman John Lewis. So created this 21st day of August 2020, Mereda Davis Johnson, Commission District 5, Board of Commissioners, DeKalb County, Georgia.
Thank you. And Patti Garrett, Mayor, Decatur City Commission, Decatur, Georgia. I think John Lewis is watching and is thrilled at what we are doing, and that we remain hopeful and that we remain vigilant, and it is an honor to participate. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Patti.
Thank you.
This was a very historic day. What better way to honor his legacy than to have a statue, whatever is recommended, that will be here forever, saluting his life.
It is an honor to partner with Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson. I'm thrilled beyond belief to be able to come together in this remarkable partnership to honor someone who means a lot to DeKalb County and means a lot to the city of Decatur, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
This declaration is a magnificent step forward. It's a great coming together of the county and the city of Decatur. I'm overjoyed to be a part of it, standing here with my wonderful esteemed colleague, Commissioner Mereda Davis Johnson, and the great Mayor of Decatur, Patti Garrett. and just honored to be asked to make some appointees to this task force who I know will try to serve with distinction.
Generations ahead of us should always remember the difference that John Lewis made. They should always be aware of the good trouble that you can get into. They should always know that it's something more in life than you. And they should always know that we are our brothers and sisters' keeper. When I think back in the 60s, Congressman John Lewis went to Fisk University, and that's where he started his sit-ins. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, the home of Fisk University. So that have a special meaning to me. I always tell people that my daddy would take me with him to register people to vote when I was 4 years old. So he introduced me to the need and the necessity for all people to have the right to vote.
When a great man passes, it's a significant milestone. It's one of those life demarcation points. But his legacy goes on, and those of us who are left behind are charged with carrying on. And it's fitting that we here in DeKalb County and the city of Decatur honor this man who represented this area in the United States Congress for so many years and really represented all of mankind for all of his life. So it's humbling and it's a true honor to carry on. And I'm gonna try to spend the balance of my life trying to make some good trouble.
John Lewis represented many of the people who live in DeKalb County and the city of Decatur and other cities in DeKalb County. He was a remarkable man, a legend. He spent every day working for us, the people. We want generations to come to remember and honor John Lewis and to know the many, many contributions he made for his country, for his state, for his county, and the love that he had for humankind.
I remember going to marches in Nashville that John Lewis would lead. I remember the times that he sat at the lunch counters. I read and saw the beatings that he succumbed. He put his life before everything. We have to have a purpose more and beyond us. Because when we leave this world and what's between the slides would be, what have you done during your life? What is your purpose? So I can only imagine that when it was time for John to leave this world, he must have said, "Thank you, Lord, for the life that I was given." Because he had a purpose and he made a difference.